Well, it is a lovely hot and sunny morning here in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm going into an estate sale. I think this is the last day of the sale, so hopefully there'll be some really good price reductions today, like maybe 75% off would be awesome. And this is the house. So let's go inside and see if they have anything that I can buy and place in my antique and vintage booth. Sugar bowl with no lid. Ooh, I like this red stuff. It's pretty. Let's see. Okay. Looks like a Pyrex but damaged. I did pretty well there. I spent $30 and it was a cool sale. Everything was 50% off. There was lots of vintage stuff. And I want to get home and just unpack everything and look up everything so that I can identify maker and pattern on a couple of the things that I got, and just get a list of estimated values so that I can let you know how much I expect to make with my $30 investment at this estate sale. If you are interested in vintage resale and are curious how I made $125 just having fun shopping at an estate sale, then you've landed in the right spot. If you're new here, my name is Julie. I'm a vintage reseller with an antique booth in a brick and mortar antique store. If you are a vintage reseller with an antique booth, or if you have an online shop, or if you are not a reseller and you just love thrifting and going to estate sales and finding vintage treasures for yourself, I hope that you find this video valuable. I will tell you what I bought, identify the pattern and the maker whenever possible, and I will also let you know how much I expect to be able to sell these items for in my antique booth. Okay, first I've got some vintage play school puzzles. I love play school vintage toys, and I love Fisher Price as well. So I'm always excited when I can find these. So I did get 50% off these little price stickers that you see here. So each one of these puzzles was $3.50, and I will price each one at $16. Generally, toys sell for me around $14 to $22 or so. This is a cute one too. The three bears. I know that I could sell these for more if I sold online. So if you have an online shop, you will probably be able to do better than the prices that I'm telling you. I'm going to put 16 on these, maybe 18. However, if you sell online, I would probably put these at around $28 a piece. I just think these are amazing. And parents love vintage toys. They remind them of their childhood. And they love toys that don't require batteries. Me too. Next up is this 1970 version of the game Aggravation. And I just love retro fonts and retro designs. So this was just $3.50 for the game. I also like old price stickers. I don't know if you can see that. It says that it was originally $2.99, and it says 5 Bradley or 6 Bradley. I'm not sure if that's a store or what that is. I've never heard of that. So I did look inside, and it has all of its game pieces, and all of it has 4 dice. So I'm assuming that's all. And then the instructions are on the inside right here. So I will put $14 on the 1970 aggravation game. Okay, these are not marked, but I really like them, and I would imagine that they are 1960s or 70s. They are not Tupperware, I don't think, because they would say so if they were. So I'm just going to call them vintage plastic tumblers, or maybe I'll call them retro plastic tumblers. I just like that word, and I like the style. They were just $1.50 a piece. I love the colors on them, and I will put $6 a piece on these. See how it goes. Okay, when I saw these, you can see that I found these when I first got to the sale, and I wasn't sure what they are because they're not marked on the bottom, but I really liked them. I liked the detail on the handle of the sugar bowl, and it almost looks like these are buttons. So this is a cream and sugar set, and they priced them separately, and I asked the cashier, I just said, I think these probably should have been priced as a set. And so she said, okay, how about $10 for the set? And I was like, sure, which means I actually got them for $5 because it was 50% off. So now that I've had a chance to look all this up, this is Metlocks, which is a California brand, California stoneware. And it's called Metlocks Poppy Trail, and the pattern is called Red Rooster. So even the lid has the little buttons on it. I just think these are so cute. These are selling really well online for high prices, it would appear. I'm going to put $32 on this set, and I think that it should sell for that. And then the other, oh no, I just found a chip on the creamer. It says a very tiny chip. That's a bummer. So I'm going to have to write as is on the price tag and explain what's wrong with this. And then this is also from the same line. It's a double spouted, seeing it described as a gravy boat online. It's also Metlocks Poppy Trail Red Rooster. It was $4, and I will put $24 on this. So just a lovely set, and I think it will sell, even with the chip. Okay, this is Peach Luster, and I would have thought it was Fire King, but it doesn't say Fire King on the bottom, so I'm really not sure. It was only $3, and it definitely appears like the Fire King Peach Luster, which is a color that I really love. I will put $12 on this single coffee cup and see how it goes. And finally, from this sale, I picked up this really cool cookbook. It's copyrighted 1970. It was just $2.50. I loved the cover on it. And I like how it's in a binder. Look how cool this design is on the chapters. When I looked this up, I like this one too. It said that this was given away at Chevron. So it's one of those things where I guess if you spent money, then you could get another chapter of your cookbook each time you went until you had gotten all of the chapters of this cookbook. I guess that's how it went. That's so cool. This is a complete book with 13 chapters and an index. So it's just really nice. It's in good condition, and it really looks like it's never been used. So I really like this cookbook, and I will put 14 on it. This is another example of something that would probably sell for a bit more online, maybe $20 online. But I just have to be cognizant of what my customers are willing to pay. And I also know how much cookbooks tend to sell for in my antique store because I work the cash register. So that people expect to pay a certain price because that's what other vendors in the store are marking books at, like this. So anyway, I think that was a really cool sale, and I'm happy with what I was able to find. I think my favorite things that I got
were the puzzles and the lovely Metlocks. It's just the tiniest chip in the paint. So I don't want to really do anything to try to cover it up, put red Sharpie on it. I just don't feel like being dishonest. I don't think that's right. So I'm just going to have to put as is and put that there's a tiny chip on the creamer. It's mid-century, so given its age, I still think that it's lovely and that I hope someone will still want this lovely set for either their display or for their personal use. Thank you so much for joining me today on this very fun estate sale adventure and thrift haul video. I hope that you enjoyed today's video and just seeing what kinds of things I was able to find at what prices and what prices I hope to be able to sell them for. Now obviously these aren't going to immediately sell, but I have found that when you restock your antique booth or when you put new listings on your online store, that those items just seem to sell quicker. I don't know why that is. It does make sense if it's a store where you have a lot of regular shoppers. I don't have a lot of regulars because my antique store is in a tourist town. So a lot of my customers are just people who are visiting our town and just passing through. They're not regular, so they don't know if an item is new or if it's been sitting on the shelf for 6 months. They don't know because they're tourists. But there's just something about new items. Maybe it's all in the placement of new items. I'm really not sure. But I'm pretty excited about this haul, and it sure was fun to shop at this sale. This is a very fun little side hustle to get into if you're thinking about becoming a vintage reseller, either online or in a store. And you have any questions or comments, please feel free to pop them below and I'll do my best to answer them. I have lots and lots of videos on just tips and advice for owning or operating a vintage resale business, so I have a whole playlist and I will link that here in the end card if you are interested in becoming a vintage reseller and what it's all about. I have a ton of videos, just from everything from bookkeeping to, oh, I don't know, setting up a booth, restocking a booth, resetting a booth, all kinds of videos for you to check out. So thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next video.